Well, it's day 3 of the one-man cathedral ceiling, and today is drywall day. So gonna get set up, gonna put a couple things together here that I'm gonna show you how I hang drywall on a ceiling by myself. I've done it many times. Kind of hoping this video kind of leads in that direction, that sometimes you can just do it by yourself. So hang tight, let me get everything set up, and then we'll come back and we'll go over what I've got. Alright guys, we're back. I've got everything set up, and I've actually went ahead and put one piece in place here. My big tool surprise or insider trick is just a jack post with a T on the end. Get it set up. Already threw a couple screws in it there in the middle just to kind of hold it. Use your T-post to push up on one side, and then that way you can come on this side and get everything screwed in and then work your way down. Fortunately, thought I was going to need a couple T-posts, but I don't think I'm going to. All these pieces are going to end up being smaller, around 60 some odd inch sections, so they're not too bad to handle by yourself. So I guess what I'm going to do is get this thing set back up again and just continue on down that way. So stick with me. So if you're wondering why I'm marking lines like this and don't have a chalk line, I forgot it at home this morning, and rather than not get anything accomplished, I think I would rather do it the hard way. So, but I don't recommend doing this. Just get you a chalk line. It's quicker, faster, better. Alright guys, as you can see, I've got both sides finally done on my angled piece. Now to come back and try to lay these flats. I'm going to try to shoot for 4 foot wide, try to keep the seams as the least amount as possible if I could speak. But I knew there was going to be a lot when I started this project, so it is what it is. I've got something that I'll show you later on that kind of speeds that process up. But hang tight, gonna get set up, and then we'll start hanging this on the ceiling. as you can see, that's twice that thing's fell on me. So we're gonna try another little trick. So let me show you this one. When you're by yourself trying to hang large panels, get it up here. Find you a couple pieces of scrap. Something thin, it don't have to be anything heavy, it's not going to carry much weight. If I can, you just need a little bit of it. Let just a little bit hang over. Let's see. And this should give you something to shove that down in. And hold it for just a silly second while you're trying to get it up here. And then this one, you know, I'll get super tight. All right, let's see if I can do this without breaking my spine. Try to. Alright, so I'm getting down to these last few pieces, and I knew that this room was going to be totally impossible to get one of these corners. This one over here coming together pretty good. Keeps a good straight line, looks good from start to finish. But I knew because of this side of the room was completely out of square that I was going to end up with some funky pieces. So, as counterproductive as it may seem, I went ahead and hung a couple of these pieces, and then I've come back and strung me a line. I don't know if you can really see it there. Yep, so I've strung me a line, and it's giving me a good straight corner. Now there'll be some waves in it, I'm sure, but then that one goes off to nothing. That one I got pretty close. But now I'm gonna pull these back down one by one, cut them, and put them back up. So hang tight. Let's see if I can make this thing look somewhat good. Second time, but it's in now, as you can see from this line right here. I've established me a nice straight line that goes all the way down. If I can do this, I'm not a professional, guys. So now I've established the corner where I want it to be at, so it's nice and even down on that end. See if I can. That light's a little extreme down there. So, following that line, that's going to be my corner. So, now I'm made me some shims. In order to maintain the angle, I can't just screw it to this top piece because everything's kind of turned out kind of wonky, so I'm gonna have to fake this corner a little bit. So what I'll do is I'll take these little, just some, I think it's a kick plate off an old cabinet that I tore apart, but I saved it. So take this little piece of Luan, get it started pretty close over here by where the joist is, and then I'll screw this in here, do another one on this side, and unfortunately it'll be a lot of seaming, but I'm going to do some mud, a lot of mud, in order to pull out some of the waves that this ended up having that I just can't pull out. So I'll have to do it with mud. You'll get to see that too. So I'm going to push you back, get you out of my face, and where you can see a little better, and start filling this in. I'm ready to get this room done. Alright, well I think that's the last of the drywall. It needs to be hung in here. As you can see, I was able to establish a pretty good line down through there. You won't be able to see it just yet until I start getting the mud. Let's see if I can. There's a little spot down there that once I get everything cleaned up, get all the get this mess cleaned up, and I'll be back set up, and then we're gonna show you the next step. All right, as you can see, got it pretty decent. So what I'm gonna do now is get all this mess cleaned up, get all the scrap pieces out of here, give it a good sweep so I'm not tripping over stuff and hurting myself worse. And then when we come back, I'm gonna show you my next little trick. I'm sure some of you have seen it. I'm sure some of you is gonna just freak out. If you don't like it, put a comment down below. Tell me why you don't think it'll work, but I've done it before. I've seen people use it on cars. Maybe not your, this whole house type of way of doing things, but this house was, this section anyway, I believe was built in about the mid 1800s. So there's nothing straight, there's nothing plumb, there's nothing. So I'm trying to hide a lot of the jankiness of this framing. It was either that or tear it down, and well, that just wasn't in the budget. But even though it is a little janky, it's solid, foundation solid, everything's good here. So again, let me clean up, and then we'll come back and I'll show you the next one. All right, got everything cleaned up, and now I'm ready to start doing, fill some of these extra gaps and holes and whatnot. And all I'm gonna use for that is spray foam. Some of these bigger places, I could sit and cut little strips and try to find places to screw them in. I've used this in the past. It doesn't crack, it doesn't anything. And then after we get all the gaps filled and it's had a time to cure, then we'll go back and trim it all up, and I'll show you how I'm gonna shape some of these areas that would take a ton of mud, but I'm gonna try to eliminate some of that. So hold tight, I'm gonna take you in close and we're gonna start filling up some of these gaps. All right, so places like this right here, I could go and I could cut and try to stuff and put a backer in there. I might be too close, but I don't know why I just shook the camera. But I could just take all the time, but I don't need to. Let me show you what, just take and fill these cracks up. Not really worried about excess. If you spray this out on an edge, it'll stick to it, and it'll allow you to build it up. And then once it expands, you don't want to get too carried away. You don't want to spin it. You don't want too much hanging out. Shake any excess off. This little crack here. It's still going to take a ton of mud to level this out, but that little squirt of foam will mean so much less. That corner back in here. Follow right along. And we'll come along and go again. You keep these cans upright, or you just blow out all the air and then it's ruined. Yeah, follow right along that seam. You gotta be careful with this stuff, it's awful. It's a great pain in the butt. You get it all over your shoes, and you'll be sticking everywhere you go. Get this corner. Don't get crazy. It don't take much. This stuff expands pretty good. Yeah. See, tried to get me. Alright, spot like this. I don't like using this stuff around windows, so we're going to try to be extremely sparing with it. And if you got to come back and put a little more, that ain't really it's actually easier to have more after it's dried. Do a little bit here. Don't want to get crazy, because I have seen this stuff blow windows out before. Alright, clean this tip off a little bit. Gotta keep the tip somewhat clean. cut all this out. This fiddling around. Alright. And I know what you're thinking. Hey, how are you gonna get rid of all that? I'll show you. You'll see. Well, help if I hit the crack. Well. Like I said, keep it upright or you'll waste it. And then we'll go down this corner here. That screw I forgot to get out of there. Over here, just a little bit, just a little. Most of that end up getting shaved off. It's a lot to fill in there, isn't it? You know, I stuffed this with fiberglass. I'm gonna go ahead and squirt a little bit of that in there too. Clean this off somewhere here. Like I say, keep that tip clean, it helps. Makes it go a little bit easier. Let's see. Shut up about judging my box. It got a little off. Can't measure nothing in this house. It's all crooked. Everything. But drywall and foam is a glorious thing. Like I say, even though it does look kind of crooked and there's some janky bits to things, structurally the whole house is in pretty good shape. Uh-oh. It seems like one can down. Alright, let me get another can shook up and ready, and then we'll come back and keep on filling. Alright, can 2. Ooh. The stalagmite or a stalactite. I bet you it falls and I step in it. There you get that one. Now I know this isn't mud and this is not the only treatment this is going to get. But this up here is going to be probably one of the hardest places in here to get right. For some reason, Ooh. Get that over there. This might be a couple applications. To get this one all filled in right. Start with that. That's definitely going to need more, but we'll let that cure and then we'll have a place to stick this other stuff in that little spot. I want to cut this out. Don't stick your hair into this stuff, because it takes a few months for it to wash out. Alright. That'll work there. Like I say, we'll let that one cure up and have to add more to it. Got a little bit down here. I know what you're saying, it ain't gonna work. Oh, I can hear you screaming now. It'll work. As long as you get it in there and when you go to trim it, it don't fall out. As long as you get it in, it's stuck into something pretty good. It'll work. Alright. Let's get... Yeah, definitely going to take a second application in a couple spots. Okay. Looks like a little more. Well, or do that. Get rid of the dingleberry. A little squirt will do you. And I can handle that. I can handle. Let's see. Let's get a little bit up in there. Ah, don't spray that air. I've got this stuff everywhere. Alright. And I think this front wall. Places I want to get. Get a little bit in there. Not much, just a little. Where I reuse some of this drywall. Trying to save $1 or $2. Everything's expensive. I ain't worried about filling it completely. Oh, look, I got it on me. Oh, got it on my ladder now. Now it'll be on my pants, for sure. Foam. Me moving this stuff around with this camera in my hands probably making you guys sick. I apologize, but I've only got one hand and a bunch of different stuff to do here. Sound like two cats fighting or something. Alright. Alright. I'm destined to get that on my pants. Yep, that'll have to be mud. That's just pumping the gates out. If you end up using this red can stuff around doors and windows, just be sparing with it, because I have seen it do some funky stuff around doors and windows. It's got a lot of pressure behind it once it starts building up. Alright, again, sorry for the camera. It's gonna have to be mud too. Alright. Well, I've made an absolute mess in here. And I see a few more places I'm gonna have to go back over and probably hit again. But when we come back, this will all be dry. And we'll start trimming things up and seeing if we can't get this ready for mud. Well, taping in mud. So, hang tight. Alright guys, we're back. It's been a whole nother day. I've let this cure. Actually went and did another little job yesterday. So we're back here on the cathedral ceiling. All the foam is cured. Oh, and if you stuck around this far, please hit like and subscribe and hit the little bell icon. That really helps the channel out, helps me out, and lets me know that I'm doing something that you guys want to watch. So if you could do that, I'd really appreciate it. And again, thank you for sticking around this long. I know it's kind of weird watching a guy hang drywall, but hey, maybe somebody will find it interesting. But anyway, back to the foam. Everything is cured. Filled some of the gaps. Just to kind of make it take less mud. It's kind of the plan. Then you come over here and you say, now how are you going to trim all that? That looks like a pain. Well, it could be, but anything of that. Now when I go back and tape, probably should have done a little down there, but now when I go back and tape, there's not all that extra shrinking and extra mud that needs to go on. It just speeds things up. Look at somebody's past. I did not do that. That was here. And I'll show you how I'm going to smooth that right out. Most people have probably ripped it out, but there was insulation back there, and I hate that stuff. So hold tight. I'm going to set the camera up and go around and get this all trimmed. And then we'll wrap this video up for this episode. If you want to see me tape mud and start slinging some mud in here, you'll have to stick around, come back for the next episode. So hold tight. trimmed up. Fill some of them gaps. Less mud, like I said before. Everything trimmed back. Try not to move so fast to make you sick. Now what I need to do is get everything swept down, get everything cleaned up again. For the next episode, we're going to come back and we're going to start doing tape, mud, and metal edge around the corners. So check that out. That'll come out next week or sometime a few days from whenever this one, however it ends up working out, but they'll be in succession. So I appreciate you stopping by and watching me play around in this old house here. And stay tuned for the next episode. Hope to see you there. Thanks for stopping by.